Joining this session. The session is called Doodling Art Therapy for Inner Peace. Okay, so in the beginning, I will give a little bit of what this doodle therapy is, and then I will let you do your thing lah. We'll do a little workshop on how to actually do doodling. All right. So can I have everybody's attention first? Can everybody just turn this way a little bit? Okay. So those who do not know me, I am Miss Farihah. You can call me Miss Far. Those that do, thank you for being here because I invited you. And those watching online also, thank you for joining this session with me. So I'll just go straight into it. So what is doodle exactly, right? So it is an aimless sketch, design or scribble, often created while listening or thinking about something else. So really it needs to be something that you don't think too much about. Doodling is something that you are focusing to other thing. Like for now, maybe I'm talking and some of you are already drawing because you don't want to focus this way. You have your kind of own focus that side. So that is a form of doodling lah, still, okay? So it doesn't really have to turn into out the certain way you need it to be. So nothing is confirmed at the end of any kind of doodle. So you just mainly want you guys to be free to it. Okay? So when do you usually doodle? During lectures and classes or during meetings, right? Sometimes when lectures are a bit boring or meetings are a bit dull, you can tend to scribble something. So that kind of scribbling thing is a form of doodling. It doesn't have to be so pretty or exactly to what kind of shape or design it needs to be, but it's more of the feeling that you do. All right, so this is types of doodling people do. So it doesn't make sense sometimes. They just kind of want to express themselves while listening to something very serious. So they want to just draw something outrageous. Sometimes, maybe for instance, this lecturer or his boss or something is speaking at the front, like as I am right now maybe, and you're scribbling away at the back, maybe my face or something, or caricature. So that is a form of doodle art, all right? So is doodling bad? Is how I say that sometimes you doodle and you kind of don't focus in what's happening in front of you. So it's a method of channeling that kind of focus. So I wouldn't say it is a bad habit. When you see it that way, then yes, it becomes something that is macam melalaikan. But for those yang do this for a therapeutic kind of way, for their inner peace or something that they're serabut about, then this is a form that you can make peace with your mind lah, okay? So then it goes into how is it a form of therapy? Why is doodle, you can say, considered a therapy? So more than just a mindless and frivolous activity or distraction. So doodling doesn't have to just be some kind of distraction. It can help access the body's healing, wisdom, and allow your spirit to rest and recover. Okay, what does that actually mean? It means that sometimes when you're focused or busy about something, your mind tends to be a bit extra. Right now, everybody maybe is stressed about assignments, right? You have assignments due, for instance. So how do you kind of want that peace of mind? Sometimes most of you are SOCMT students. They have to draw, think creatively all the time. Or you have to do calculations for your business subjects also. But then how do you kind of want to relax for a bit? Doodling can help you do that. Sometimes because you don't have to think about anything. So that's where you kind of just like lose yourself to it. Okay? So this was said by this Carl Madsen because she created this book. So it's not just somebody that just gave their opinion, but it's more of somebody that researched on it. So this kind of form of doodling gives you that healing power, that you can have that relaxed time for not just be too focused on anything, but let your mind flow. Okay? So another thing that she also said, doodling is more of a spontaneous art. So that's why you don't have to plan. Doodle things is more, mainly you just kind of like go with the flow sahaja, all right? So where one can experience that own initiate your creativity. So with that, it gives you that relaxed time. So for instance, you're doing assignment and then you kind of just want to break from that. So you kind of just want to scribble away for a while or color something for a while. So that's where you kind of just rest your mind. But also when you go back to doing your assignment or something, then you kind of have that new creativity, new skill, new epiphany, something that you feel like fresh, something fresh from something yang serabut you had before. All right? So it's about letting go. That is what doodling is. Okay? It's not some form of trying to perfect anything. It's mainly just letting go and being in that moment, you'd say. So when you kind of start doodling, you kind of just go, sometimes you go in circles and circles and circles, so you kind of lose yourself. So that's what it means by letting something go. All right? So the benefits of doodling, because we're going to the therapy part of it, right? So why doodling is such a okay thing? It's not saying this is the memang thing that it will work for everybody. It ikut orang lah. Sometimes people that have the creative side to them, then they kind of just want to launch out doing something creative with their hands. So they can do this. So what are the benefits? It expands beyond stress relief, because you do something without mindlessness, having a little, subconscious mind to it. So you kind of just tend to lose yourself. So that gives you that relaxed and relief feeling of it. Okay? Then this spontaneous drawing, because as we said, doodling is more spontaneous thing. Everything is more with the flow. So it quiets the mental chatter. This goes mainly for those yang sometimes have, we would say, like a little anxiety or a little stress, for instance. So your head is speaking so loudly to you. You have so much in your mind. Those are overthinkers, I would say. Because yes, I also kind of that kind of person lah. We can tend to overthink a lot. So when that happens, sometimes we just want to kind of move from being too busy because our mind is speaking so loudly right now. So we kind of just have to lose ourselves to let go. So this is one way of therapy that you can do. Sometimes yes, we're kind of a bit scared to go to the therapist or go to doctors or even so. Then you can do this alone. It's something that everybody can do. So that's why doodling is that kind of form yang for everyone. Okay? So it's let your busy mind, your busy chatter mind kind of just stay quiet for a while. Or maybe when you're doodling, your busy mind kind of tells you, baru dia kind of sets its pace lah, so that it's not crazy in there. So you kind of tell yourself, okay, after this one I'm going to do. So you let yourself be in that moment, slow down everything, okay? So which helps increase your creativity. So when if we just look at our sides of our brains, for instance, those that know, we learn this in science in school, right? So it's your left hemisphere of the brain is more of the mathematical part, more serious side, more calculative. You're being very cynical or opinionated about something. But then your other side, it's the creative side. So sometimes we forget about those two, that we need that balance. So when we do this doodling thing, that left part of our brain kind of just quiet down a little bit, so that we let our right part kind of just like flow better. Okay? So it's mainly also a way of exercise for your brain, but also your skill, because you're kind of doodling and doing your art, but it lets your brain kind of relax and exercises itself. You kind of train your mind. That's a way of why doodling relates to the brain as well. Okay? So that rhythmic repetition. So when we doodle, we kind of do things again and again, or we kind of just lose ourselves and do circles also. That drawing identify as a relaxation response. So it's your body kind of just telling you to, slow down, take a rest. So that's why you kind of do something again and again. If we kind of, for instance, people get panic attacks and then asking them to, okay, count 1 to 10 or something. Stuff that it's easy, everybody can do. But that kind of repetition, one after another, it gives you that kind of relaxation. Okay? Okay, so it's a smart tactic to settle down, reset your mind. So this also goes into something before you have to go into something serious. For instance, you have a meeting or a discussion, or you have to sort your assignment first, for instance. Then you cannot do it yet because everything is so cluttered in your brain. So you kind of just take your time. Maybe you do coloring for a while, or do some kind of simple doodling for a while. So that's how you kind of just reset your mind first. Like you tell yourself, I'm ready for my next step. So that's also because you kind of churning your creativity that way. Because what we say? We kind of slow down our right side so that our left side can be enhanced more, okay? So this is what it's related to all these benefits. I'm letting you know all here because most of you are, okay, this is going a little away from the slide here right now, more to this therapeutic session that we go into. Because I understand students here now or everything, especially your generation, is kind of stressing out there and with all the drama, even with yourselves. So that's why all this thing is one way of how to relax yourself, how to pace yourself, how to kind of be in a way productive as well. Sometimes you're saying to yourself, how do I be productive but also relax my mind? Yes, you can go for a walk sometimes, but doing this, it gives that creativity that everybody needs. Creativity doesn't even just fall to those that are doing art. Maybe because you're doing anything about business or science related or beauty things. Anything is related to creativity to enhance how you problem solve, for instance. So this art thing relates back to your problem solving thing while you're doing your assignments. That's why it's a tactic to settle down your mind first before you go into something serious. Okay, so this is a practice that you can do. It's not something that you need to do for an hour or two or so, no. It's something maybe you're just scribbling at the side, or you book out your buku text, and then it's a bit boring, like, I cannot read this yet, I don't want to hafal this note yet. So you tend to doodle at the side of your textbooks, or your slide sheets or so. So that is a form of you telling yourself, you need to relax for a while. So you have to kind of know your triggers, know your moments that why are you doing these things. So that's also a form of getting that inner peace, okay? That therapy that it gives you. Okay. So how do we doodle? Right, everybody sometimes like, oh, it's something doodle. People just say, what is doodle? Simple thing. So this is just a brief of how you can start to doodle as a beginner, right? So it doesn't have any rules because it's spontaneous, right? What is spontaneous? Spontan. Benda tu is suddenly like there. So that is spontaneous. It doesn't have any given any rules, and it doesn't require any artistic skill. So those yang, oh, miss, I cannot draw lah, I don't want to join the session lah. But it's not that. We're not drawing right now. We're just doodling. We're just kind of creating something little by little. Okay? So for instance, you begin with creating a random shape like this. So you just scribble because we just want to have that kind of inner peace, right? That therapy, that kind of relaxed moments, relieve stress. So maybe this is how you're feeling up here, for instance. So you kind of just want to scribble everything. So you do that shape first. And then you go into the middle part. You start filling it in. Filling it bit by bit, which part you feel like it's nice to you. So you kind of tend to pace yourself this way. The beginning part, you kind of scribble everything, but then you pace yourself, you see it differently. You see what section you feel like it can be. So that's why you tend to color it or create patterns. So because you're telling your mind, I want to pace myself. You're giving yourself decisions to make right now. Okay? Then you get the end part is just perfecting it, just making it all a little bit pretty so that you're telling yourself everything's in place right now. So first part was all the scribble, you're just putting it all on paper, all your busy, your stress and all out there. And then the second part, you're making decisions. So you're telling yourself, pace what you need to do, what you decide, which part you want to do. And then at the end, okay, I see all this. So we have a different perspective about it. Then we kind of kemaskan it. We kind of tend to tidy it. So that is reflecting to how we deal with any kind of problems, right? First thing, yes, you have all this stress or serabutness in your mind. Then you put everything down, scribble everything down. And then you pace yourself one by one. Then you can, okay, I see everything now. How do I do it actually? So that's why you're just making it prettier for the final stage. Okay, these are just types of doodling. We're going nearly to the end of the session of this talk, because I want you guys to do more of the workshop after this. Okay, so types of doodlings. One way is called Zentangle. Can everybody see that part? Okay, it says Zentangle. So what is Zentangle? Zen, what is Zen? We have a Zen garden right up there. What does that mean? Zen. Zen is to have that. Does everybody know what Zen is? Everybody know what Zen is? Never heard of this term before. Okay, so Zen, if I'm not mistaken, with those watching online right now, please comment on our section to say if I am wrong. But it's mainly to say it is peace in, I think it's in Chinese or Japanese or something. So it's to get that Zen, get that peace, reflecting back to our talk, which is to get inner peace, right? So doing all this Zen tangle is called tangle because it's your piece from something that is tangled. So you kind of create this pattern. That's why it's a form of doodling also. Okay, how do we see this person doing the doodling? It's mainly just creating patterns. They have this shape that they did, circle, 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 and then they kind of divided it. That was the second step, right? And then they kind of filled it in. Then finally, they colored things in, make it darker also. So that's why this process is mainly for just letting go, okay? This untangle. Okay, second example type is shapes. Sometimes you just want to draw shapes again and again and again to just tell yourself, to maybe you're thinking about something, then you draw it again and again until you forget about it. Or sometimes when we say a word, orange, I say orange, 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 and then you kind of just like lose it, right? It doesn't make sense anymore. Or we say your name. Sometimes I say Adib, 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 and then suddenly it's like gone. So that's why in a way, when you draw something again and again, shapes again and again, it kind of just loses itself because you want to kind of lose yourself first, all right? Before you get back to finally trying to get that inner peace, okay? Another thing is leaves and petals. So for instance, this is by a famous doodler. She's an illustrator that perfects in doodling, but she mainly does for coloring books lah. So this person, Johanna Basford she creates a lot of leaves and petals in her doodles. So what can we see here? It's mainly just repeating the same shapes and again, but she places it in the form of a layout lah. She composes how she does her doodling. So leaves and petals is also a term that is also a form of doodling style that you kind of just tend to do again and again. All right? Okay, second person is this Kirby Rosans. I'm not pronouncing it wrongly. He does a lot of characters. So this is another format. It's a bit of a advanced level because his doodling, he makes it into his call sign. Memang that's his style of art. So how he does it, he creates characters. So we can see those yang macam there's a dragon there, there's even like a phone or some chibi style of anime drawing or something. So he creates a whole image out of all these tiny, tiny things. Because why? He's just repeating himself. That's what doodling is, right? It's spontaneous repetition of things again and again, just so that you lose yourself. All right? Okay, this is another person, Mr. Doodle. He's very famous as called Mr. Doodle. Why? Because he does a lot of this kind of doodling. His level of doodling has gone far beyond on paper. This one is just him just doodling a plain bedroom because he did a whole house or he did a whole car. People pay him like millions and thousands or so just to do this kind of art. So if we're just looking back to why doodling is such a thing, because people make money out of it. Maybe sometime later what you think now, oh, you find something, yes, I'm good at doodling. So that can give you money also sometimes later, right? So this Mr. Doodle, he creates doodles from characters and lines. It's mainly just filling in spaces. That's how he does his doodles. Sometimes, yes, it's repetition. But when we see, nothing overlaps how he doodles things. Previous from this guy, he overlaps it. Maybe he starts this first, this section, and then he kind of, oh, I don't want to make it look like a jaguar or a cheetah or a leopard or so. He kind of adds it along the way, this way, and then on top of each other, right? But this Mr. Doodle, he doesn't overlap his lines. So that's the style that you can do, right? So not necessarily doodle is one way. There's so many other ways, all right? So this Mr. Doodle, yes, is credited because he's one of the famous guys lah out there. Can we play? Okay, this is a video of. Okay, we'll just see how he doodles things. This is a sped up version lah, but he does characters and see how he creates it. It's mainly just filling in that space. Okay, he starts from one corner and then just moves because you just want to flow into that kind of losing that into that moment. Okay. So how he adds it, it's just like dots and shapes and lines. So that's just how. But then he makes characters out of it. So because he just loses himself to it. Okay. Then he adds in a little color. This is that final step lah. You just want to make it nicer, perfect it. And this is sold for thousands. Imagine that. Something very simple, but then because he gives his name already that he is called Mr. Doodle, that kind of therapeutic or exercise that he does gives him that inner peace that he wants to just let people see. So that's also one form of doing an art style, okay? So one other person I want you to know is yours truly. This is what I did, okay? My kind of art. My kind of art is fine line art style. So I'll just play. So how I doodle things is just mainly doing lines. Yes, I already have like some sort of something planned, but then just creating lines give me that kind of inner peace, that relaxed moment. So something that you can do because we're just doing lines and filling in shapes. So there's another one. Okay, so yeah, this is me just filling in the shapes, just creating some sort of image or shapes out of tiny things because I just want to fill in that because I'm just doing lines. So that is a form of me being feeling things a bit therapeutic. So how I deal with things, okay? So my style is more of a fine line art lah compared to this. This is very extra, right? But it's also very uniform, very organized. So this is how he does his doodling. Then we go back to this character design. He creates characters. It's also a form of doodling. And then leaves. So this mainly a lot of people does. Maybe you create mandalas, right? Mandala, or you call it. So you just kind of make circles or leaves or shapes, just repetition to create something like floral or flowery. And then you have your shapes. So shapes are a simple thing, like basic again and again. Then you go into rectangle. So this one point is one of the famous form of doodling style. Okay, so we can start our session for our workshop. Everybody, I see some of you already started. I hope when I come over and see there's a lot done already. So what I want you to do just for this session, you have your pencils and papers ready? Okay. I'm just going to pull the whiteboard in the middle for a while. Okay, can everybody see the whiteboard, right? Okay, I understand some of you have started. You're already doodling like, well, I'm talking anyway, so it's okay. This is not a class. You can just do whatever you're doing. Those that want to follow how you do it step by step, because I understand not everybody has that art skill, and it's okay. Again, this is not something that only art people can do, because there's no rules to it. It's very spontaneous. So what I want you to do, who wants to have inner peace? Who wants to feel at Zen right now? Who do we want to feel at Zen right now? Mainly ourselves, right? So I want you to write your name. For instance, okay, my name is Farihah, so I'm just going to use the FA lah. So how I do it? I'm just going to write a big F and then overlap it with an A. So I want you now to do your name overlap like this. Can? I'll do it again. Okay, getting a thicker pen so that people can see more. Creating an F, for instance. Like that. And then I'm just going to overlap it with the next letter. Okay, it's an A. Like that. Okay, so I want you to do, you don't have to put all your long name, it's okay. Maybe just use 2 letters, your first name and then your surname, for instance, can as well. Just get 2 letters, overlap it together. Okay? Don't think too much about it. Don't try to not use try not to use the erasers. Just have to kind of do it. Okay? So when we have these 2 letters overlap, what was it from the first part? The first part was the beginning, right? Just creating a shape. So that's what we did already, just creating that shape. Okay, everybody have your name? Then second, you kind of just want to do the middle part, which is what? To cover it in. So that's where your doodling starts. Maybe I see this part because it's overlapped. So I kind of just want to do something very random. Can as well. See? So I just take the shape in between. So that's how we just kind of want to sketch something. Because we already created that shape, so we just want to fill that in. So how do you want to fill it in? Right now I'm just using lines. But then maybe you want to use that kind of form of character design. Then for instance, this part. Okay, I'll choose this side. I'll do characters. So how do I do character? Maybe I'm just going to have somebody peeking out like this. And then have another character this way. So what am I doing actually? Just filling in shapes, right? So that's what mainly doodling is. Then finally, the final step, which is the end, which you will go into this after this, but just for this session, I'm just letting you know how when you're done filling in everything, then maybe you kind of just want to touch up, gelap and everything, add a little color to it. Those who brought color pencils, then okay, you can color in. Maybe you have these shapes already, so you just want to color things in. Okay? So those we're going into our second session of the workshop, which is mainly the workshop, letting you all do it and just have some time to create your own kind of doodles. All right, those at home watching this live, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you gain a little bit, 1 or 2 things about a very simple, humble therapy doodle therapy session talk for you to just have that inner peace. Okay, thank you for joining our MAIC live. I hope to see some comments or so that you will come by MAIC sometime to give us a visit. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Sekarang